Hi, I'm Marcia Milgrom Dodge, director and choreographer of Sense and Sensibility the Musical, and you're watching In Focus.
Welcome to In Focus with Eden Lane.
The Denver Center Theater Company is presenting the world premiere of Sense and Sensibility the Musical. Selected from last year's Colorado New Play Summit, this production pulls out all the stops with an eye toward Broadway. Tonight we follow up with the creative team, beginning with the Tony-nominated director and choreographer, Marcia Milgrom Dodge.
So we've been looking forward to your return since we saw the staged reading last year at the New Play Summit, and we got to revisit that with our viewers just a couple weeks ago. And it was amazing that you were able to very quickly take a piece that you had been collaborating with for more than a year, I think, at that time, and turn it to something in the round in a matter of days. How did you do that?
You know, I was talking about this with one of the actors the other day. When I read the script, you know, when Jeff and Neal sent me this, I first read it, and then I listened to the music. And when I read it, I already knew how to stage it. So that's sort of my way into the material. It spoke to me.
The physicality, the
physicality, yeah, you know, and then, and it wasn't that I saw it on a proscenium or saw it in a thrust theater or saw it in the round. I start with relationships, and I knew that I could really have fun with the society people and really dig into the relationships of all the characters. And so that was very apparent to me. When the Denver Center invited us to the summit, they offered me 2 spaces. And the first one was the stage theater, which is where we are doing the
premiere. It's coming to life.
Yeah, but Kent Thompson's production of Taming of the Shrew was in there in a kind of 50s diner with tile, and it felt very modern and sort of the wrong century for our show. And then I looked at the Space Theater, which was presenting Lisa Loomer's Things You Don't Talk About at Dinner. And
it was very stark.
Well, it was you know, it had some rugs on the floor, and it had a bedroom, and it had a dining room table, and a toilet and a tub. And I thought, well, let's cover the toilet and the tub and get rid of all the furniture except for chairs. And the bed was very important in our story. We have a couple of scenes with a bed. So I said, all right, I'll just do it this way. Plus, the other thing was, in the big theater, we were going to have to deal with microphones and a sound system. And so for a reading and a stage reading, and you're working really fast, I thought that I don't really want to take the time to do technical rehearsals, and you know, for sound, it's going to take away from just working on the material. So we ended up doing it, and you know, I come from a dance background, choreographer background, and so I move physically through my shows with a bit of ease, with a bit of confidence, and I never see things posing obstacles to me. I see them as challenges. So to translate this piece of material into that Space Theater was an opportunity.
It worked so beautifully that weekend I left saying, if this was what they presented and had tickets for it, I would be happy to pay for that.
That's great.
The material is really lovely and yummy and textured.
Yeah. Yes.
And so was that work you were able to get out of that cast.
Thank you.
And now here we are.
And now
for
we
the
got
world
more
premiere.
Juicy stuff to share with you.
Yeah.
We finally get it in a really beautiful environment designed by Alan Moyer, and the costumes.
Little peeks of what you're doing, a big heel and a frame, and I can't wait. I had a few deep desires for the physical environment of the show, and one was that hillside. I said that needs to be there. I mean, Alan and I discussed a lot about how to realize all the different locations in the piece without being literal and without feeling heavy. And not just because you can't be literal, but I think it would interfere.
I think it is the piece invites a fluidity and a speed at which to get from one place to the other, unlike what real life was back then, which, you know, 3-day ride from New Orleans to Barton and all those kinds of non-technological things that, you know, created the world of the play of these characters. But with Alan and with Emilio Sosa, our costume designer, and with James Ingalls, our lighting designer, we really want to evoke what's essential about each location. And because the material is so rich and the music is so fresh and new, and you don't hear a song and think you heard it before.
Right.
Neal has really is a master at finding the right music for these characters to sing, and coupled with Jeff's really smart adaptation of a somewhat sprawling novel with many more characters than what we are presenting in the musical, but distilling it down to the key people and allowing us to get inside of them a little bit more. I
say the heart of that story.
I say that Austen would be thrilled to be collaborating with Jeffrey and Neal.
I think you're absolutely right.
I think she would be doing happy clapping in you know, wherever she is, at how beautifully they've been faithful and yet at the same time found a way to make it very accessible to a contemporary audience.
It's interesting you said that being a director, choreographer, and often your way into the material is physically, sometimes even with dance, that you started with the script and not the music. So tell me what was in the script that made you want to turn the page and get to the music.
I looked at it structurally and how it moved from scene to scene and what the characters had to say that were underneath what they were actually saying. So when you read something like this, you read between the lines, and you read, and you know, to just be given two characters who are fundamentally, you know, head and heart, and trying to find the balance. You know, I just found it read so beautifully. I couldn't wait to hear the music, and the use of this chorus, of this society chorus that don't just appear in one guise. They appear in you're going to be so surprised about how they show up in certain scenes.
I can't wait.
We've expanded them a lot from just playing, you know, a sort of generic society chorus to New Orleans society, country gentry, London elite, gossips, statues in the park, visitors in a midnight bedroom scene, like just lots of different opportunities for them to comment and have opinions about what's going on in the story. So I read about them when I was reading the play and saying, oh my gosh, they're like a Greek chorus, but then they're part of it. And then I knew that I wanted everyone who appears in the musical to come out of the big opening number. So everybody's in the opening number, and then they become their primary characters.
And it really sets the tone.
It really sets the tone, and it creates a gorgeous ensemble. My company are all leading players. So
they have to be with this material.
They have to be, and everybody has a moment to step out and be recognized in a very specific, essential character that helps move the plot along and the story along. So it's a real company of actors, and that's what I love. That's what I love too. Is
well, we've seen you do that.
You know,
before.
an ensemble, a real ensemble show, and then with the magic of the way we're presenting it scenically, there's a lot of surprises and interesting, delicious scenic gestures that will help reinforce, you know, what is most important, which is the relationships.
The amount of time that you've spent on this project, even up to the reading until now, is often a luxury. You don't always get that kind of time to collaborate with the people who created it. So how is that different for you, knowing that we've seen you, in a way, collaborate like you did with Ragtime, because you got to tear it apart and recreate it? How is it different now that you're sitting in the room with the creators this way?
It's awesome. I mean, I think we have a very I strive for a room that's a creative room, And, you know, I once had a director say to me when I was choreographing that there were no ideas unless he thought of them. And I don't believe that.
A director said that to you as the
choreographer. So
which is why you're now a director choreographer.
Yeah, that was one of the reasons. But in this room, if it's a good idea and I look around. I'll work on something and turn to Jeff and say, is this how you imagined it? Mm-hmm. You know, and some of it's public and some of it's private.
Right.
But I don't think for one moment my company ever feel that they can't suggest or contribute or offer. I mean, I think that a lot of my job is editing. And so actors have to come with ideas and choices and have given thought to their character. It's too much for me to have to tell every single person in every single moment of the play what they are doing at that moment. I can stage it and say, this is where I want you. In fact, today I jokingly said to an actor, all right, I'd like everybody to, on this line, to move to these positions, and you'll figure out why later.
That's right.
Like, that's your job. You'll figure out why you're doing it later, but I see a visual event happening launched by a particular line in the text, so I would like to make this sort of a big move, and then you'll figure out why you're moving.
And they have to.
And they have to. That's their job. That's, you know, it's sort of like a joke, you know, what's my motivation? Your paycheck, you know? But in a new musical, what's my motivation? I want to I want to tell the truth.
Yeah.
I want to be living truthfully in these wonderfully imaginary circumstances, but I want to tell the truth. And so I encourage every member of my team to do that. And I have an incredible stage management team who I'm barking, okay, transition. This is when that's moving, and now on this cue, you're on this note of music, this is going, and you know, it's all figured out, but everybody has to take ownership of their participation in this event. And you know, I have an incredible music department, and that's been an exciting collaboration with David Loud, our supervisor, who is you know, like a quiet, calm genius against my kind of all right, let's do this. You know, I'm kind of you know, the blue collar director, I guess I would call myself. It's just like sort of loud and noisy and excited, and David's very quiet, and then we'll say something and we all go, oh, that was perfect.
So it's that head and heart again.
Yeah, I think it's a little bit. I think he's a little Eleanor and I'm a little Mary, and so it's a great combo.
You mentioned an earlier director who told you there were no ideas that didn't come from him.
Yeah.
Do you think that maybe part of the way you work differently is if you come from a dance background, dancers innately from the beginning of their training work differently, collaboratively?
Yeah. Well, dancers will try anything. Dancers, you say turn 4 times and then stand on your hands and slide on your knees. They go for it. They just go for it. Sometimes actors, you make a suggestion and they have to process it differently. They have to figure out, you know, I've already made a choice about how my character would do that, and now you're asking me to do something different. I have to adjust.
Right.
And so it's not as, with dancers, it's a visceral, you know, I'll go da 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 da, and they copy me and go da 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 da. But acting is a different process. Acting is a more thought. It's not just,
less kinesthetic.
Yeah, it's why am I doing that? Where, you know, a dancer, you do, you know, step ball change, leap, shuffle ball change, leap, turn, slide.
We don't have room for that here.
Yeah. So you just do what the choreographer did. You just copy what the choreographer did. And then ultimately the choreographer doesn't want you to do it exactly like they're doing it. They want you to bring your character to it.
But that comes
But
later.
I've always felt that as a choreographer too, I was more of a behaviorist than...
What do you mean?
I was more interested in communicating a character through dance than dance for dance sake.
Yeah.
So even if I'm staging Anything Goes and the big tap dance at the end of the first act, it's still about a relationship between Reno and Moonface and Billy Crocker. Yeah. And there's still a relationship going on with the company and how Reno gets them galvanized to break into a big tap dance. So I'm always approaching things from a behavior point of view.
Well, I'm excited to see what you and this entire team is bringing us with this wonderful piece of material. Thank you for sneaking out of that critical rehearsal time before you go from doofer to the real space. I appreciate it. Thank you.
Oh, my pleasure. Lovely to meet you. Thank you.
Now we follow up with the book writer and lyricist and composer, book writer and lyricist for this wonderful adaptation of Jane Austen's Sense and Sensibility, Jeffrey Haddow and Neal Hampton.
Well, thanks for ducking out of what probably is a very relaxing day for you in the middle of preparing your world premiere, full-on production of Sense and Sensibility the musical. I told you last year that I would see you again for this production, and I'm so glad I was right. Welcome back.
Thank you.
It's great to be back.
What happened between last year when we visited with you and today?
We did a lot of work on the show, and we worked with Marcia quite a bit, and we brought in the team, the music team that we have now. David Loud, our music supervisor, and Paul Massey, our conductor, and we cast the show, which took a while. So
what was that like to know that you're finally casting it for a real full-on world premiere, not just a workshop?
It's great. This whole thing is a real thrill ride for me. It's like, I mean, Jane Austen thrill ride. Can you imagine that? But it is. It's real thrill. Everything.
It's been a gradual process. We get cast, we get to meet the designers, we see the set, see the sketches of the costumes. I mean, Marcia is just this amazing marshaller of people and resources and organizer, and then so that it just kind of gradually sort of built up around us. It used to be Jeff and I in a room writing, and all of a sudden this machine, and here, and just the resources that have been brought to bear, provided for us by the Denver Center Theater Company, have been astounding. We were just talking earlier about the advertisements that are blanketing the Denver metro area, and just everything they've done for us has been first rate, and we feel so welcome here and so supported. The whole team.
Absolutely, everything is very well organized. The stage management team is terrific. The company management is terrific. I mean, we're really impressed. I've never seen anything like it. I mean, I really mean it when I say this is the best thing that ever happened to me in my career. It's great.
That's saying something too, because it's not like it's your first show.
No, I've been in a few rodeos.
Just one or two.
Yeah.
I know there's this machine that's built up around you. But what else is it that's making you, because it's obviously emotional for you as well to say this is...
Well, I think this is a show that we've been working on for a very long time. I mean, I had hair when we started, but and we've really worked every detail of it, and I feel like it's a very nice show the way it's written. But to have Marcia as a director, and of course, every actor in the country knows who she is. So when we had auditions, we had the absolute best people coming in, and we have a fantastic cast, and we have a great design team. I mean, we've got Jim Ingalls on lighting, we've got Alan Moyer on sets, we've got E. Sosa on costumes.
And they're building it all here in Denver.
Right.
Yep.
We saw the hill. There's a 52-foot hillside that moves and comes in and out. It's really something. It's going to be quite striking.
So when we see it here, what we will be seeing is the Broadway caliber iteration of what this should be when it gets there.
No question.
No question, absolutely. It's just everything. What's striking to me is, I mean, we've seen, Marcia when she staged the summit last year. We had a 2-week rehearsal process.
And she turned it into an in-the-round production in days.
Right, and she's so fast and so organized and knows exactly what she wants. And but then there's something here, the staging is so complete that I'm watching songs just be transformed in a way I'm just completely unprepared for. Emotionally, it still gets me.
Yeah.
I mean, we're going to have a run of the show, and what's happening on stage is just boggles me. I didn't know it could be this good.
That's saying something, that you didn't know it could be
No, and
this
we've
good.
had several workshops. We've had a lot of great actors on this thing. It's just a matter of the complete thing coming together. and it just feels all falling into place. And we're in really good shape structurally for the show. You know, there's no dead spots. So, you know, this is things writers worry about. You want to make sure that the show's moving, and it does. And I think it's very compelling and very moving and funny. And funny.
Funny, don't forget funny.
It should be.
No, it's funny, and there's moments of great entertainment and energy, as well as these beautiful characters from Jane Austen, who are these young actresses, Marianne and Eleanor. I think you're going to...
We're going to talk to them soon.
They're rather lovely, I think you're going to find.
It's interesting that I don't think everybody realizes how many hundreds of people it takes through the concept when you first met and talked about it to get to where you are now, people who come and go from the project.
Yes.
What is that like for you when you obviously appreciate all of that contribution that went into creating this? I mean, I can tell by talking to you, you feel the weight of that.
Yes, yes, and the people that have worked with us, they know the process. They've been through the process with a lot of new shows. They know how it works. You have readings, you have stage readings, and sometimes those people continue and sometimes they don't, and it is difficult sometimes, but we do really appreciate the contributions everybody made of their time and talent, and
it's all those little pieces that helped you get here.
And most of the people that we've worked with are working all the time, so it's not that
sometimes they might not have been available
Yeah.
to keep going.
That's right.
That's right.
That's right.
When we talked to Marcia, I asked her about how she found her way into this material, because she says that she looks for the environment and music. Obviously, she's a choreographer, but she also said she started with the text of this piece without the music, which is very important because it's based on a well-loved text. How does that feel to you? I mean, we know we're going to get a lot of attention on the music because it's a musical, but
it feels great. I mean, Jane Austen famously likened her writing to Scrimshaw. She said, this bit of ivory on which I work with so fine a brush. And you'd think that would be incompatible with musical theater, because musical theater is an expansive medium. But the thing that makes it work with Austen, and I think it's why there's been so many adaptations, is that she has really good, her stories have really good bones. And especially this story for us, for me, when I first just reread the book, I had read many years ago, and when I reread it, I said, this story has great bones. And what a musical really needs is you have to compress it down to just that structure, because structure is so important. You're hanging everything on it. And Austen made great structures, and it works because it has to be expanded through music. The story has to be told through music. Also, with this story, there were things that could be cut, so that was very helpful too. There were things that were, I won't say extraneous, but
they didn't serve that central narrative.
That's right. That's right. And so that was very helpful too. In some of her other books that are much more tightly constructed, that wouldn't have been true.
In this case, the music isn't just dressing, isn't just color for this telling of the story. This hangs on that framework in a very critical way. How did you do that?
Well, we did it, really. I mean, we sat together, and every song we started together in the same room.
You worked together in the same room.
And I mean, and before that, we really talked a lot about, the structure, and making sure that we were putting songs in the right places and the right kind of song in the right place. And then, we began, I think that one of the most important things is that you be singing about the right thing. The right song in the wrong place, doesn't work, and the wrong song in the right song in the right place, that's good, right?
And it can be a lovely
song. The wrong song in the right place never works.
Right,
so.
right. So.
And sometimes a lovely song doesn't serve the piece.
Right.
And you have to let it go.
Right.
Yes.
And we have.
We have. Yes, I would say we've probably written at least well, maybe not at least, but we've probably written an average of 3 songs to every one that we were using.
Yeah.
When we visited last, there were more than 30 songs in the piece. Is that still true?
Yeah, 36.
36.
And one of the songs for one of the main characters, for Marianne, we cut. She actually had 2 songs, and it just ended up being better that she just had 1 in the beginning.
Could carry more weight that way.
Yeah,
serve
just
the
more
story better.
More focus. More focus didn't slow the story down.
Is that hard to lose something that you love so much?
Sure.
Yeah, it's.
But if it serves the greater,
you've got to
picture.
You've got to be able to.
Picture.
You've got to be able to let go of this stuff. You know, you write it you fall in love with the songs, and you've got to be able to just let it go. Because
that's part of the process. When I was doing a show at the Taper many years ago, the associate directors, they wanted to cut a couple of my favorite lines, and I was fighting. And finally, the associate director came to me, and she was a British woman. She came to me and she said, "Sweetheart, sometimes you have to bury your darlings."
Yes.
And she was right. But I was really young.
That's right. Well, I can see and feel your heart in this. Yeah. I appreciate you taking the time to tell me that.
It's just
Thanks. We can't wait to get into the theater from what we've seen.
Just a couple more days, right?
Right.
Yeah.
Here's a glimpse during final rehearsals of Sense and Sensibility the musical.
In society, high society, there's so much to aspire to. When you're in society, that's what you do.
Sense and Sensibility the musical makes its world premiere at the Denver Center Theater Company. Details are available at denvercenter.org.
And say the right lines. In society, polite society, there's so much to aspire to. When you're in society, that's what you do. When you're in society, ready the carriages, John. The Dashwoods will be leaving in the morning. That's what you do.
That's all for this edition. Remember to join us on Facebook and Twitter. With all that Colorado has to offer, we're here to help you keep it in focus. Thanks for watching. Good night.